Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the CRL PR80A. This is a surface-mounted door closer. It is a very common sort of generic or composite door closer that can be found in countless applications. A very practically ubiquitous sort of 9 1/16 center to center on the screw holes. Horizontally, vertically, it's 3/4 inch. This is what would be considered a modern style door closer, but very typical and common. You'll see these installed in commercial applications. You'll see them installed in the front aluminum storefront doors of your favorite, coffee shop, any sort of retail space like that. But a closer like this is also capable for many applications. If it's going to be an application where you have moderate or standard duty commercial use, it's likely to be quite capable for your application. It's very inexpensive. It gives you very likely all the features that you need in order to successfully accomplish what you need to accomplish, and do so relatively inexpensively. It has your latch and sweep valve control. It has an adjustable spring tension that's here. It even has back check, is what it has. That's the valve underneath here. That's back check. That's your spring adjustment. And we're going to go over what all of that means. This is in the aluminum finish. You can purchase this in either the aluminum, dark bronze, or black finish. This is going to come with its arm, its screw pack. It's going to even include a plastic cover, which I'll show you in a moment. Parallel arm as well. It's packaged with all of its templates, etc. So let's do a visual tour, dimensional tour as well as we go along. This body length is going to be 9 3/4 inch. Okay, it's going to be 1 3/4 body height. Back to the 9 1/16 I briefly mentioned. That's the center to center of the screw holes. 9 1/16 horizontally, then it's 3/4 inch vertically. So why is that important? Well, when you're looking for a door closer, and you're replacing one, that's your first thing that you're going to check. You'll generally do, if you want to do a direct replacement, you'll do a visual review of what you have. What does it look like? Okay. Then what are the location of the screw holes horizontally, because they're not all the same. All door closers that I just can immediately think of, they all have holes that are basically rectangular in shape. Some like this, some are like this, some are like this. And you're going to want to very likely go into the same holes as what you're removing in terms of a door closer. So that's where you're going to start with, what size do I need? Then after that, you'll probably want to consider what features you need. Do you have to have, does it have to be barrier free? Do you have to have adjustable spring? What are the valve controls that you need to have over it? And this closer gives you everything you need to be compliant in all of those requirements. This is, because it's adjustable, is going to handle a wide range of door sizes in terms of width and weight. You do pay more for an adjustable spring door closer. There's no question. If you know that you are doing, a specific type of application, you're not going to adjust the spring other than to what the setting would require for that door size, the door weight, and how you're installing the closer. To have the ability to adjust that spring when you're never going to adjust it, I don't see the reason for ordering an adjustable spring closer, provided you can get a fixed spring closer and it meets all your requirements. So be mindful that you may not need an adjustable spring closer, because a 3-foot hollow metal door that's in a parallel arm, that's going to be set to a size 4 spring all the time. Okay, so paying a little bit more for an adjustable spring, maybe it's not necessary. The other side of that conversation is, you order one closer, it's going to work on every door size that you've got on the project. You've got a 3/6 here, a 3/0 here, you got regular arm, parallel arm, and you've got some, you've got a couple of 2'8" hollow core doors that you want to have a closer on. It will work on all of that stuff, is what I'm driving at, or can be made to work. This is going to include, obviously, the door closer body. I don't think I gave you the projection. About 2 3/4. We're also going to have, of course, the arm. This is a very typical and common arm where it's going to mount to the shaft on the body. This will have its main arm, then the forearm, the threaded attachment here that you can then set with this screw once you have it extended to the proper dimension based on what your mounting style requires, and of course if you're doing a top jamb installation, what that will require in terms of your reveal. Then it'll have the rod shoe that's here that you may or may not remove. You'll remove it if you're doing a parallel arm installation, which in that case you'll remove the rod shoe and then attach the parallel arm bracket, and that will allow you to install that door closer on the push side of a door that swings out. So that's where you will use this. We'll go over that. You're also going to have the cover, which is nice, a molded plastic cover. Okay, that's simply it's included and is a nice option in the sense that, you know, if you want to, I suppose, make that door closer look a slightly more finished in appearance or more refined, there you go. You very likely would use that. I would certainly use it if I had the option. I would install that. It's held on with a screw that's going to be right into the body here that will go through that little hole, that slotted hole that's there. So you'll have a molded plastic cover, which is on many closers an add-on, an additional cost add-on. That cover is included. Because it's non-handed, okay, one of these two preparations are going to be left open. You'll use this slide-in plastic cap to finish that off. It goes in this way, actually. Okay. Then, of course, your screw package. What's nice about the screw package is that it will give you an Allen wrench as well that will allow you to adjust your valves, assuming that you'll need to adjust them. You probably will. You know, this is going to come out of the factory set for the most common of applications, and that will be listed, I'm sure, in the installation instructions, which we'll go over on camera in a moment. And on screen. Let's take a look at them now. So, push side, pull side. Okay, so they're showing us the top jamb mount on this side. They're showing us the regular arm mount on this side. We're going to go over that in detail when we switch to the screen view. They're going to give us then a parallel arm template. Okay, if you're going to install it the way they're showing there, push side of an outswinging door. Okay, so just an admonishment to read everything prior to proceeding. And then actual full-size peel and stick templates. People like these peel and stick templates. I've had people tell me I can't install the closer without the peel and stick template. I get that. I understand it. That makes perfect sense. The approach I take to installing a door closer is I just, okay, what dimensions do you want me to have it at? I mark my locations. I double check those locations, and then I drill my holes. But to a lot of people, having a template, something that's the math is already done, and just tell me where to place it, and I'm going to drill my holes. That's great. You can do it either way, with the peel and stick, or you can just look at the documentation. So let's switch to the screen view and take a closer look at that supporting documentation. Okay, so here we are looking at our door closer. First of all, let's take a look and see the other colors that are available. The CRL PR80, A for aluminum, BLK for black, DU for dark bronze. Okay. So it says this is a adjustable spring power 2 to 5 surface mount closer. So we would call this a surface mount closer, a PR80A. You would indicate, if you're going to call this out, what your fastener package would be, what your handed door would be, what your width of door would be. You would indicate your mounting method. You would indicate your finish. And the concept of indicating all of that information is so that when the hardware arrives to you, it arrives properly packaged. Technically, if you were indicating these doors were right-hand reverse and they were exterior outswing doors, there would be no reason to include anything beyond what was needed. including installation instructions for regular and top jamb mount. So calling out a very detailed part number is part of the process of getting the hardware correct. Just want to copy something here. Okay. Now the extended description information down below. Adjustable 2 to 5. What does that mean? Well, we'll take a look at that in the installation instructions. That basically refers to the weight of the door, the width of the door. Applicable for doors from 24 to 54 inch wide, from 33 to 264 pounds in door weight. That's exceptional in terms of weight. I usually consider 225 pounds based on guidance to be the maximum that you might consider a surface closer for. C.R. Lawrence is telling you they can do one 264 pounds. Parallel arm bracket mounting hardware are included, permitting universal installation, regular, top, jamb, and parallel arm. We're going to talk about those methods. It's commonly referred to as tri-packed. The closer is supplied with a plastic cover. Optional accessories would be drop plates, hold open arms. Depending on what your application is, you may need a drop plate or you might want a hold open arm. They're UL listed and have a 10-year warranty. The dimensional properties of the item are listed here. Closer does weigh 7 pounds. It's more specifically about 8.65 pounds. Conveniently packaged with instructions and a mounting template. Okay, so let's take a look at, let's just go through all of these. Product pages over here first. That is an overview of different C.R. Lawrence closers, and that's important because, as we said initially, you may not need one that's 9 1/16. You might need one that is different than that. And then we talked about, do a visual review. What does your closer look like? Is it clearly not the modern style that we're looking at here? Is it clearly like this? And then you use that information to, point yourself in the proper direction for the type of closure you need. Since we're on this page and this pretty elegantly touches on it, the tri-pack, regular, top jamb, and parallel arm mount. Regular arm is closer body on the door and you're mounting it on the pull side. Parallel arm, so this would be standard. You would see this in a restroom, in a restaurant. You don't want to see the door closer from the opposite side of the door. Those doors will almost always swing in. So put that closer on the inside of the room. You want to make sure, however, that you have room for that. I find that sometimes in that exact application, you have trouble with your installation in a bathroom restaurant because there's this is an awful drawing. You have a situation where your door swings, but there's a perpendicular wall so close that when the door gets, when the door basically gets over here, okay, there's not enough room for that body to be installed in this space. So you want to watch out for that. And that does happen very occasionally. You are going to see a restaurant that has a rework to the drywall where the body of the closer can go to the wall. So watch out for that. Doesn't happen often, but if you have that scenario and they've already drilled holes, you want to point that out to your client. Don't just assume that it's going to work in those applications. Those restaurant bathroom doors are usually in confined spaces. Lots of things vying for space. Parallel arm, exterior door generally that swings out. Closer body's got to be on the inside because you don't want it on the exterior of the building in general. Here in southern Florida, that's not really a problem in the sense of the temperature swings because it doesn't, to get to freezing is somewhat rare. However, you don't want it exposed to the elements, but nonetheless, you'd install it on the inside. Now, this would be appropriate for that hollow metal door on the back of the strip mall and all the retail spaces there. That's where you're going to see this. Top jamb installation is going to work the same as a parallel arm in the sense that it's on the inside, mounted on the push side of an opening for a door that swings away or out. You'll see this in aluminum storefront. I like Top Jamb for two reasons. It moves the door closer body up and out of the opening, so you've got more clear vertical space, number one. Number two, the closer works more efficiently because with this arm parallel to the face of the door, the rotation that the spindle has to go through in order to get the door to 90 degree is about half of the rotation of the spindle in a regular arm or a Top Jamb mount, which means there's less compression of the spring happening. So the closer, as a result of compressing that spring less and then having less stored energy to when the closer spring is released, makes a less effective closer at pulling the door or getting the door closed. What some people don't like about the Top Jamb is that arm sticks off. A parallel arm is indeed more compact to the face of the door, but very common in aluminum storefront. Also because you have a much greater possibility of it simply fitting on aluminum storefront. With a parallel arm mount, you're going to need a drop plate in practically all instances. Not all, but practically all. Because some aluminum storefront material has, narrow style, medium style, wide style. If you've got a wide style door, it will probably fit. But admittedly, wide style on aluminum storefront is uncommon. So, we've knocked that off. Let's go to the warranty information. Okay, right here, 10 years. If you expect to have a warranty issue, you must keep your original paperwork, your receipt, everything. You must contact the people you bought it from. So if you're buying it from us, don't call CRL. They won't help you. Don't call, the local locksmith. He didn't sell it to you. Call the people you bought it from. It's the responsibility of that person or party that you bought it from to advocate on your behalf with the manufacturer. That's the chain of command. And most importantly, be sure to buy it from someone who has an account with the factory. You're buying this material on online flea markets. That doesn't mean it's warranted, so be mindful of that. There are warranties that are written that you must purchase it from an authorized distributor reseller. Right. Okay, so let's move on to cross-reference chart. These are always handy. These are always really handy. So you have a variety of names here that are... These are all imported closers, most from Asia. Dorex is Canadian. Yeah, most are Asian and Chinese. Well, most are Asian. Transatlantic, I believe, is Korean. A good quality closer. I like them. I like that. We're dealing with the PR80, so we're going to be down in this column. Cal Royal has all these door closers are good. They're all on par with each other. But if you are looking to cross-reference, it's a handy document, no doubt about it at all. Lists all the C.R. Lawrence closers that are here. C.R. Closers listed are comparable in performance and features. Exact mounting hole dimensions and appearance may vary. Yeah, I would think this chart is also built on the fact that you're not going to have a departure on the mounting hole. I mean, that's... that has to line up for me to consider it to be compatible. It just has to line up. Now on page 2 of this document, they get into the domestic manufacturers. So that's handy as well. LCN, obviously the big name. Norton, the big name. Okay, so that is a cross-reference. Now, let's take a look at application and adjustment. So generally what happens is installation instructions have 4 components to them, and it's by no coincidence that there are 4 components we're about to go over. 3 of the components will be one each of the mounting types: regular arm, parallel arm, top jamb. That's 75% of your installation instructions, which means you need only one of those. So you would use only half of the installation instructions. Your application adjustment, which will likely show you an overview of how to set the spring, how to control the valves, what's included in the box, and then you go to the mount type, and you do have to determine that. Where are you going to mount it? And generally your application will tell you how you're going to mount it. What I mean by that is, if it's an exterior door that swings out, you're probably going to be doing, and it's a hollow metal door and frame, you're probably going to be doing that parallel arm. If it's that restroom bathroom door, yeah, regular arm is probably what you'll want to do. So let's look at application and adjustment first. They again do a definition of the 3 types, which we've gone over. There are particular requirements of each of them, but they are all going to fit underneath standard categories in terms of look at this first, then look at this, and we'll go over that. So they're going to show us the 2 valves. They have a latching and a closing valve. So it's also known as latch and sweep. Sweep is out here, basically 15 degree to, maybe 85 degree. The latching valve is just the last 15 degree, and you can control those independently, and that will allow you to better tailor what's happening inside the closer body to account for environmental conditions. If you've got a little bit of a breeze or a draft going through, or you have some sort of building pressure, air pressure, what they call stack pressure, you might need to open that valve up the last 15 degrees to let that closer move a little bit faster. More fluid will go through, allowing that spring to release faster inside of there. The bottom line is inside of here is a long spring. And those are those 2 valves that you see on either side. Don't touch those just yet. Don't do anything to them. There's no reason to when you get that installed, because it might already be perfect. So don't adjust it until you've tested it. So lefty-loosey, righty-tighty on these valves. Clockwise to the right is going to slow everything down, close that valve. Less fluid will move through it. Opening it up will increase the rate of fluid that can flow through there. Very, very important. Caution. Do not turn speed adjusting valve more than 2 full turns counterclockwise from its factory set position. Do not rotate that more than 720 degrees because the valve can and will come out. If it comes out, there'll be a loss of fluid, and the closer will be a paperweight at that point, an oily paperweight. So you'll have to replace it. I've done it. I did it one time. I got oil on my shirt. And then you learn not to do that. It happens to the best of us. What this closer does not feature would be a staked valve. Higher end closers will practically eliminate the possibility of you rotating it counterclockwise so far that the valve will come out, the stem will come out, because it's prevented from going out that far. Like I said, don't touch it just yet. And if when you're going to, and you probably will, don't go counterclockwise more than 2 full revolutions. This is obviously just a chart of how doors swing, because they're going to refer to that. This would be obviously a left-hand door or a right-hand reverse. And then the opposite here. All right, let's determine what closer style are we going to do. You have to be mindful to follow the installation instructions, because the general rules are different for how you install the body based on the application. How you set the power adjustment is based on the application. So you really need to drill into one page and basically stick with it. So regular arm, top jamb, and parallel arm. Let's look at parallel arm, because it would probably be considered the more complex of the 2, because you have, you've got that parallel arm bracket that you have to drill. So in all of the mounting types, what you have to be only concerned with, and installing closers are super easy, is the dimension from the vertical axis of pivoting, which is the center line of your hinge or your pivot, to the first set of holes, the B dimension. Okay, that's all you have to know, where to put that. But the B dimension is based on your degree of opening. So how far do you want the door to open? Do you want it to go to 120 degree? Use 6 and 15/16 as your B dimension. If you want it to go past that, use 4 3/4. You'll notice the closer the body gets to the vertical axis of pivoting, the further it will open. I've seen closers moved further away because someone literally wants to restrict that door from going that far. They don't provide us a dimension for that, but you may be able to, extrapolate that a little bit from the chart, and then also from doing a reality check on where the door closer needs to be to go to 95 degree, because the arm will physically not prevent it from going any further. So once you know the B dimension, you then you only need to look at the footprint. You got 9 1/16 to the other holes. We know they're 3/4. That says 3 3/8 from the soffit to the first hole. The soffit is, here's the soffit. Here's what they're trying to show. So this is called the stop, right? Okay, well the stop has components. That's the stop face. That's the soffit. So that parallel arm bracket is measured from the soffit, not from the rabbet, is what they're showing you there. It's the surface of where it's being installed to. And that dashed line is the door outline that you would see if you had x-ray vision, so to speak, through the stop to see where the door would lie. So 3 3/8 from the soffit down to those holes. You're good. Now you know exactly where to put the door closer body. If you have more of these to put on, get yourself a 1x piece of poplar, cut it to size, mark your 4 holes, use it, just push it into the upper corner of the installation, hold it there, mark your holes, and you're making hay. Then where to put the PA bracket? Okay, it's the A dimension. Go back to the same chart we had. Okay, then they give you the other dimensions. And I'm going to show you a template, a company who makes these templates. Actually, let's just do it now. They are... Let's see. Okay, here they are. That's right. Okay, I had forgotten their name for a moment. Just Door Tools. They make these templates, these pieces of, they're just sheet metal, really, that they have sheared, that they have put into a press brake, I imagine, and they make reversible templates that have all of the holes laid out. I have studied them, I have reviewed them, I have made sure that they made sense, and they do. They're not inexpensive by any stretch, but the fact of the matter is, all you need to do is to get one hole wrong, and you've got a problem with that 90-minute, pre-finished, flat-cut mahogany 3080 door. And if you've got a project that you need to do, and you're going to do this over and over, investing into this template is simply easy to amortize or depreciate over time. So it really makes sense. So make your own template, buy a template from someone, whatever. Just what I'm saying is eliminate or reduce the opportunity for error, because you do have multiple dimensions that you have to lay out. And that's where people come into liking the paper sticky templates, because they don't have to think about it. What are we doing? We're eliminating out the human factor. Let's not make a mistake. Because it's a hassle. I've done it. I know. Now, you've mechanically located all of your holes. You've pre-drilled all of your holes. Now it's time to physically slap the hardware on, and you do so. And what they're showing us here is a right-hand reverse door. They call it a left-hand door, but it's possibly a right-hand reverse because it's likely an outswing. Once you know where to locate the holes, you've got the closer body. The only thing you're going to do at this point really is to test its operation. We've obviously jumped over the installation instructions. Select door opening angle. Everything that I just talked about is everything here. And right now we're down in the arm closing speed sort of regulation. I'm not going to read you the installation instructions from the perspective that, you can do that. but just giving you the quickest overview. So factory set on the spring adjustment. So it is the PR80 is factory set to a 0 condition on the turning of the spring adjustment, which means it's going to be for an interior door of 3 foot. Basically, let's just say 100-pound door. Okay. Now this chart is specifically for a parallel arm. This chart is going to change per every application. So just stay on the page that you're working on. In a parallel arm mount, you're probably going to adjust that 4 clockwise turns, okay? If you have a 3-foot exterior door, that's, let's say, 125 pounds, in that range. Because a parallel arm, as we had touched on earlier, is a less efficient way for the closer to get the door closed because you're not rotating that spindle as much, you need to increase that tension in order to offset the loss of efficiency. So if you're going to make any adjustment, it's probably right here, okay? Right there. The adjusting of the latch and sweep we talked about earlier, I would cycle that door. After I get my spring adjustment, I would cycle the door and I would make sure that it's closing to the proper speed and conditions to allow a full controlled positive latching condition. This closer also has back check. Back check picks up at about 75 degree or 80 degree, something like that. And if you were to have this closer installed and you wanted to understand back check, push the door open, firmly controlled, but push it open. And when you get out here, you should notice a change in resistance. Now think of an exterior door that swings out with a gust of wind. That's what back check is for, to arrest the door from aggressively going further. And you can change the setting on the back check valve to account for different environmental conditions. You're not going to change where it kicks in, but you're going to change how aggressively it will arrest the uncontrolled opening of that door. It's not a dead stop. It's not going to prevent that door from going any further, but if you increase that, you will noticeably change. You will certainly detect how that resistance increases when you get out to the back check. Okay. The valve that this doesn't have is barrier free, which means they can really control. You've got sweep, you've got latch. Well, the barrier free valve is out here, that you can really control how long it takes to get that door down into this range. You've got to have so many seconds for that door to remain open. This closer will certainly comply with that requirement. Now, touching on the barrier-free valve, which this doesn't have, and you won't need for ADA compliance because you can control this door so that it closes quite slowly. What it doesn't have in terms of ADA is compliance. This is not an ADA compliant model. This does not feature the reduced closing force to comply with that 5 pounds of push. So be mindful that if you have an application that must comply with ADA, and most do, obviously all public doors must, you'll need a different closer because this is not going to be able to be pushed open without exceeding that maximum quantity of 5 pounds of force. Sierra Lawrence does have models. I have actually their catalog page pulled up and I can show you. We're on the PR80 series. Okay. So the PR82 BF would be your door closer. That will be barrier free. That means reduced opening force. However, with a reduced opening force comes a reduced closing force. So you will always see in catalogs that handicap compliant closers may not get your door closed You know, if you've got a 200-pound door on an exterior application in a retail space in Manhattan, and it's a Herculite door, yeah, you can probably expect that you're going to have trouble with that. So you need to know that up front. A barrier-free, low-opening resistance model is available to comply with ADA opening force requirements. Yeah, anyway, they do state in nondescript locations that, hey, this may not close your door, but nonetheless, it likely will as well, because you can get that up to a size 4 application, a size 4 spring. But if you recall, our parallel arm mount power settings, you know, size 4 is here. So you're going to limit, you know, the ultimate capacity of what that closer can handle. So, you know, there is always a, you know, a give back, so to speak. And it's been said to me very elegantly, with a reduced opening force comes a reduced closing force. Now, the rest of the page that's here, we've covered all of it. So let's switch back to the description. The regular arm and top jamb are the same logic when you're installing this sort of material. And the one thing that gets people is, and I had mentioned it earlier, is where you put the body on the door depends on the application. And when I've said focus on your particular application, here's why. In the parallel arm mount that we're doing here, speed adjusting valve must be positioned away from the hinge edge. So your end of the closer with the 2 valves goes away from the hinge. If we looked at the regular arm mount, let's see how that changes. And it does. Speed adjusting valve must be positioned toward the hinge edge of the door. So I've had people call me and say, you know, I installed it and it just won't open. I can get it open like 3 inches and it stops. Okay, how did you mount it? Which of the 3 methods? Okay, this way. I installed it in a parallel arm. Great. Tell me, what side are the 2 little valves? Are they towards the hinge or away from the hinge? And then the client will tell you, and then it's a simple matter of, we understand, remove the arm from the spindle, the 4 screws holding the body, turn it over, put it back on, and confirm that it works. And that's a common service call. I should say it's a common telephone call to receive from a client who's installing the door closer, because it's not obvious. Even though they put it in all capital letters, that doesn't mean that we've read it. And even in this video, I didn't read these. But and the point of the matter is I've gone over it verbally, and I'm saying read these. And that will dovetail into what we're talking about. So wrapping up this video, there's a link here to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the C.R. Laurence products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the product catalog. That can't be a single document because they have scores of product catalogs that are here. Architectural hardware, frameless shower doors, Blumcraft egress compliant push bars, things of that nature. Let's wrap up this video on camera. Now, in conclusion, you know, a closer like this, typical and common. There's no reason not to use it that I can think of. You know, generally what will happen if you're in the business industry of, you know, working on doors and door hardware, locksmiths, distributors, installers, you know, you generally find a brand that you like and you stick with. You know, it's like anything else. You've had, you know, good luck with one airline and you've had bad luck with another airline, and you generally gravitate towards the one you've had better luck with. Same with door closers. C.R. Laurence is an epically large producer of lots of, you know, commercial building hardware. They're really known more, in my opinion, for their shower door enclosure hardware, hinges, brackets, things of that nature. But architectural hardware, aluminum storefront, all of that is what they're into. So if you have any questions on the PR80 in an A finish or any other C.R. Laurence product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. If you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please click subscribe as well, and even share the video with someone that you know. And if you have any questions for a future video, please send them our way and we will make every attempt to oblige. And thank you very much.